நீங்கள் பார்த்து கொண்டிருப்பது உங்கள் RSKV யூடியூப் சேனல்.
Income Tax Inspectors Exam 2012 Paper 3 Allied Laws. Question 1. What are the sections whose provisions are presumed to have been complied with under Section 60 for the Certificate of Registration under the Indian Registration Act 1908, Section 34, 35, 58 and 59? A transfer by a Metakshara co-partner of his undivided interest in the joint family by gift is void ab initio. Who has the power to exclude certain persons from the operation of Rule 2 of the Code of Civil Procedure regarding attendance of prisoners to give evidence? State government. Which one of the following is not a condition to be satisfied before a holder under the defective title can claim compensation under Section 51 of Transfer of Property Act 1882? The owner of the property in such cases has no option but to sell the property to the transferee. The Indian Trust Act 1882 permits revocation of trust created by will as well as under specific conditions enumerated in Section 78 of the Trust Act 1882. Question 6. Which of the following doctrines of Metakshara law are not followed in the Hindu Succession Act 1956, Doctrine of Survivorship? Under the Indian Registration Act 1908, registered document operates from the date of its execution. A succeeded B as a trustee of C's property. Select the correct statement. Answer: A is not liable for the act of B. Which of the following causes of actions survives after the death of A? A had filed a suit for recovery against a debtor. 10. A karta may alienate the joint family property in which cases? Legal necessity, benefit of the estate, acts of indispensable duty. All of the above. 11. Which of the following is not true regarding the difference between a mortgage and a charge? A charge can be converted into mortgage at the will of the interested party. A probate means a copy of the will certified by the court with a grant to administer the estate of the person making a will. 13. Which of the statement with reference to RTI Act 2005 is not correct? If the public authority fails to give decision on the request for information within a period specified under Section 7 of 1, then the time period will be deemed to be extended by 7 days. Will can be presented for registration within at any time. Doctrine of priority as per Section 48 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882 is based on which is first time is better in law. Which is first in time is better in law. Harish, Metakshara Hindu living in Delhi, owned a property which was purchased by him in his name out of his earnings made in the course of his pursuing medical profession. The family paid the entire cost of medical education of Harish. Can his son claim a share in this property? No, because it is Harish's separate property. In the execution of a decree for maintenance, salary of a person can be attached to the extent of 1/3. A, B, C and D are 4 partners. A dies having bequeathed all his property to B in trust for Mrs. A and having appointed B his sole executor. However, B retains all the assets under his personal control. Mrs. A may proceed against whom for improper employment of A's assets. B. Answer B. Section 17 of the Registration Act 1908 provision for documents which are compulsorily registrable. 22. A seeks copies of immovable property returns of last 5 years of B and ITO under the Right to Information Act 2005 as the Central Public Information Officer. What is the right course of action for you? Reject the application by holding that immovable property returns are information of personal nature and exempt as they are kept in a fiduciary capacity. Which of the following is not considered as essential element of a lease under Section 105 of Transfer of Property Act 1882? The leased property must be transferred to the lessee after the expiry of lease. A garnishee, Garnishee, garnishee is judgment debtor's debtor. 25. Under what circumstances, as specified in Section 7 of 9 of the Right to Information Act 2005, the information may not be provided in the form in which it is sought. A. If it would disproportionately divert the resources of the public authority. B. If it would be detrimental to the safety or preservation of record in question. Both A and B are correct. 26. Under Section 30 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956, a Hindu can dispose of his interest in a Mitakshara co-partnery by will. 28. What is the monetary limit of fine if a witness fails to appear or fails to satisfy the court? Rupees 500. Z, a trader, dies and bequeaths his assets to B in trust for his father and appoints him as sole executor. B employed such assets in a new partnership firm with his mother and wife. Who is liable for the breach of trust committed against the father, Z? B. Mrs. B and mother of B. What is the time limit within which an executor has to submit to the court an account of the estate showing the assets coming to his hand and the manner in which assets have been applied for and disposed of? 1 year from the date of grant of probate. As per Section 58 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, the essential element of a mortgage does not include the following. After a specific period, the mortgager, transferor, has to transfer the property to mortgagee, transferee. Which of the following order under CPC is meant for issuance of commission? Order 26. Which of the following statement with reference to gift is not true? A gift of a future property is also valid gift. Section 60 of the Registration Act 1908 deals with certificate of registration. Which amendment act confers on daughter a right in co-partnery property from the date of her birth? Hindus Succession Amendment Act 2005. Under RTA Act 2005, the fee for inspection of the documents in the first R will be free of cost. Who cannot become beneficiary among these? Unborn child. Which one of the following is not a public authority for the purpose of the Right to Information Act 2005? ICICI Bank. As per Section 4 of the Indian Trust Act 1882, the trust may be formed for lawful purposes. Otherwise, the trust would be void. A trust is formed with two inseparable purposes. One of the purposes is lawful and the other is unlawful. The trust is wholly void. Which section of the Registration Act describes persons entitled to present wills or authority adopt? Section 40. Under RTA Act 2005, where the information is to be provided on payment of any further fee towards cost of providing the information, the CPIO shall send an intimation to the person making the request for information about the cost along with the calculation, and the period between dispatch of intimation and payment shall be excluded from the period of 30 days. Out of the following documents, registration of which document is compulsory under the Indian Registration Act 1908? Instrument of a gift immovable property. Where the request for information under the Right to Information Act 2005 cannot be made in writing, the public information officer shall render all reasonable assistance to the person to reduce the same in writing. A person A who is entitled to a part of the estate of the deceased is granted a letter of administration 4 months after the death of the deceased. The following act committed by A during the above period of 4 months is invalid. Selling some of the gold ornaments belonging to the deceased. The provisions of the retransfer of property is found in the following types of mortgage. English mortgage. A co-partner can alienate A. Undivided interest in the entire joint family property. B. Undivided interest in a specific property forming part of the joint family properties. Either A or B is the correct answer. A will stands revoked when in all the above circumstances. A. It is destroyed by the person making the will. The person making the will gets married. Another will is made revoking the earlier one. All of the above circumstances is right. 50. Same property is mortgaged to two persons, A and B, with two different mortgage deeds. First mortgage deed was executed on 1/4/2013 but registered on 15th July 2013. Second mortgage deed was executed on 15/4/2013 but registered on 15th June 2013, from which date mortgage deed will operate under Section 47 of the Indian Registration Act from 1/4/2013. A probable or a letter of administration is not compulsory for establishing the right as an executor when will is made at Mumbai and the deceased is a Christian. Under RTA Act 2005, the public authority includes A and B. A. Body owned, controlled or substantially financed directly or indirectly by funds provided by the appropriate government. B. Non-government organization substantially financed directly or indirectly by funds provided by the appropriate government. Both A and B are correct. 53. Two friends, a Hindu and a Christian, make mutual wills in favor of each other. The Hindu friend gets married. What will be the position of the two wills? The will made by the Christian stands revoked. As per Section 45 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882, where two or more persons jointly acquire a property, their interest in the property is created and the share is determined as a proportionate share of the consideration that they have advanced. Under subsection 3 of the Section 4 of Right to Information Act 2005, for the purposes of subsection 1 of Section 4, every information shall be disseminated widely and in such form and manner which is easily accessible to the public. Here, disseminated means making known or communicating the information to the public through both notice boards and as well as newspapers. What is the mode of payment of fee to ITAT? Deposit in unauthorized, sorry, deposit in authorized bank or SBI or RBI. 58. As per order 16 of CPC, the list of witnesses must be filed by the parties after the framing of issues. Bequests, sorry, A bequests certain property to B, desiring him to divide the bulk of it among C's children. This does not create a trust as the trust property is not indicated with sufficient certainty. 60th. For creating a trust of movable property, it is not necessary that the property is physically transferred to the trustee. Which one of the following statement is not true about the part of performances under Section 53A of Transfer of Property Act 1882? An agreement to sell without possession is also a transfer. 62. Out of the following persons who are entitled to present wills and authority to adopt for registration after the death of the testator, person entitled to present. As A enters into an agreement with B for sale of a flat in Delhi. What is the effect under the Indian Registration Act 1908? Registration is optional. Presumption that the youngers survived the elder under Section 21 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956 is rebootable presumption of law. On partition, the assessment of Hindu undivided property under the Income Tax Act 1961 is made under Section 171. Which of the following is true? If a document compulsorily registrable is not registered, it has no evidentiary value. B. If a document is not stamped, it has no evidentiary value. C. If a document compulsory registrable is not registered but properly stamped, it can be used for collateral purpose. All of the above are true. Who has to supply the beneficiaries the proper accounts of the trust under the Indian Trust Act? Trustee. 69. An order granting application for review may be objected to A. At 1 by an appeal from the order granting the application. B. In an appeal from the decree or order finally passed. Both A and B are true. 70. When nobody applies for a letter of administration for the estate of a deceased Mohammedan who had not made a will, the court will issue the same to a creditor of the deceased. 71. The trust property is an immovable property which has been given to the author of the trust by an unregistered instrument who is duty bound to get the instrument registered. Trustee. Father's widow is a class 2 heir. Which of the following statements with reference to Section 44 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882 is not true? Where the transferee buys a share of a dwelling house belonging to an undivided family and is not a member of a family, he has right of joint possession. This statement is not true. M. Trustee for N allows the trust to be executed by his co-trustees. O. Misapplied the trust property who is personally responsible for the loss resulting to N. M is the answer. Properties of a judgment debtor which are not liable to be attached have been mentioned in Section 60 of CPC. Which of the following requires compulsory registration under Section 17 of 1B of the Registration Act 1908? A. An agreement by which the mortgager agrees to pay or the mortgagee agrees to accept interest at a rate different from the one fixed by the registered mortgage deed. B. An agreement by which the period of redemption fixed by the mortgage deed is reduced or enhanced. C. An agreement to the accept on redemption smaller amount than what is due under registered mortgage deed. D. All of the above. Answer all of the above. 78. A defendant under Order 5 Rule 1 of 1 of CPC is required to appear, answer the claim, and to file the written statement within how many days from the date of service of summons? 30 days. Which of the following transfers are considered as fraudulent transfer under Section 53 of Transfer of Property Act 1882? The transfer made with intent to delay and defeat the creditors. Delay or defeat the creditors. Under the circumstances, the consent of beneficiary to the trust is not required while making investment as per Section 20 of the Indian Trust Act. Investment in government securities. Existence of a father-son relationship is necessary for constitution of Hindu co-partnership. What will be the consequence when a person to whom a portion of the estate of the deceased has been bequeathed under the will attests the will as a witness? The bequest to the person attesting the will is void. RTA Act is not applicable to which of the following state of India? Jammu and Kashmir. The RTA Act 2005 provides that if an application is made to a public authority requesting for an information which is held by another public authority or the subject matter of which is more closely connected with the function of another public authority, the public authority to which such application is made shall transfer the application or relevant part of it to that other public authority within dash days from the receipt of the application, 5 days. A person A recovers a huge sum of due from a debtor to the deceased before the appointment of executor of the will of the deceased. A is answerable for his above act to creditors of the deceased, executor as and when appointed, legatees, 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 all the above. Answer. 87. In partition, a co-partner takes his share property as A. His separate property, vice versa, other co-partners, joint family property, vice versa, his son, grandson, and great grandson. Both A and B are correct. 88. The rule of precedence amongst the various registered documents relating to the same property is contained in which section of the Indian Regulation Act 1908, Section 47? Review of judgment has been provided under which section of Civil Procedure Code, Section 114? Order 16A of the Civil Procedure Code provides for attendance of witness confined or detained in person. Under Section 2 of 1 of the Right to Information Act 2005, right to information means the right to information accessible under this act which is held by or under the control of any public authority and includes the right to A. Taking notes of documents or records, taking extracts of documents or records, taking certified samples of material. All the above are correct. A probate can be granted to executor appointed through a will made by the deceased. Which of the following type of word or phrase regarding the mortgage is not used under Section 58 of the Transfer of Property Act 1882? Absolute mortgage. Judicial stamps are used under regulations of 94. Sorry, no answer. 95. Maximum period of detention in civil imprisonment where the decree is for more than rupees 2000 but less than rupees 5000 is 6 weeks. F. A father died leaving his son S and unmarried daughter D apart from widow W. If F is governed by Mitakshara law, determine the shares of W, S and D. Answer: W equal to 1/4 plus 1 by 12. S equal to 1/4 plus 1 by 12. D equal to 1/4 by, sorry, W equal to 1/4 plus 1 by 12. S equal to 1/4 plus 112. Answer: 97. A testator means a person who has made a will. 98. X and Y run a partnership firm. Y enters into a loan agreement with the bank against the lien of the property of the firm. Y availed the loan in his own name and utilizes the proceeds to purchase his own house. Y holds such benefits from whom? Partnership firm. An Indian Christian dies without having made a will. His widow, who is a lunatic, his mother, and his brother are the only relative left. Letter of administration will be granted to the deceased mother. Deceased apostrophe S mother. Which of the following is a valid gift? Dedication of a property to an idol.